Welcome to Business Spotlight on WPSE Money Radio. Business Spotlight is heard weekly at this time on 1450 AM and 107.1 FM. Today's guest is Jim Berlin of Logistics Plus. Erie's Union Station recently celebrated its 90th year. It looks like your Union Station gamble paid off for Erie.
It's paid off in being a very cool place for us to be. But there's a known problem in Erie is that real estate is not generally a good investment. I always joke because we bought the building for way too much, paid like $2 million for it. We put another $1 million into it to get it ready from dilapidation to us coming in. The city put another $1 million into the Griswold Park to clean that up and make it really nice, actually. Sassini bought the old post office and renovating that, and now the train station is worth about $1 million, according to the appraisers. So that's really a serious problem. And until that turns around, it's tough to invest in improvements in the building because you really don't get anything out of it. Like if in a home you put in a new bathroom or porch or something, you get it back. Here we've put $2 million above and beyond what we bought it for, and it's gone down in value. So, I mean, still no regrets. It wasn't bought as an investment. It was bought as a home for our company, and it's been a great place to be. It's got a cool factor and a lot of nice, soft positives. But if someone looked at it financially, they'd say that was a terrible decision. And in fact, we're looking at developing the trackside warehouse, which is like 6,000 square feet of raw space. But I kind of put the brakes on it because I'm thinking, well, do we put another $1 million into the place, and is that just throwing money down the toilet? But bigger picture, I talked to Tina Donikowski about the development they have with this new group that seems really good and making progress, but it'll be a long-term thing, and they've got to turn around the whole downtown area. Well, the two buildings here are both done really well, but probably not achieved the value that you'd think. If I told people around the world we spent $2 million for a building this size, they'd say, wow, what a deal, yeah. But 20 years later, it's worth $1 million. So not so much. It's a pioneer thing, Yeah, I was shocked. For a loan, we had to do an assessment of the building, and came back like $1 million. I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, this was empty, dilapidated when we got here, and now it's full and vibrant, and the neighborhood's getting better, and it's worth half what we paid for it 15 years ago. That's kind of nuts.
Now that 2017 has ended, how was business for Logistics Plus last year, and what are your expectations for the coming year?
Well, we never have expectations. We just go out and play our game, kind of. But we grew nearly 50% last year, which is a big, big growth, 21 years in especially. And the feeling I get is that it's a new plateau. It's not a peak and we'll go back to where we were. It feels like it's the foundation for even further growth. And we have a lot of pretty big projects on the horizon that we either just landed or we think we're going to land. So I see another year of big growth. Plus, I think the economy's good, and we've evolved too. I mean, it's funny that our base business, was heavy industrial based on GE and GE vendors and customers. So that's how we started out. And then when we bought Horizon, we got into the solar business, which was kind of somewhat cutting edge, 10 years ago. But now, some of our newest customers, newest clients are 21st century businesses that weren't even here in the 20th century. So companies like WeWork and Google and Amazon, they've become big customers also, and we haven't lost the old ones. So it's kind of a nice balance of the old industrial businesses and the new digital businesses.
Logistics Plus was recently named top 3PL provider by Multi-Channel Merchant. What does this say about your e-commerce services?
I think it's a recognition of the job we've done in that regard. We've really strengthened our fulfillment business. We've been doing it for a while, but not paying much attention to it. And more customers are asking for it, so we bought Lynx, which was a fulfillment business out of New York, and we bought their expertise as well as their customer base. So we have really good people now that know that better than we did, and it just seems like it's going to continue to grow. We've got several of the customers I mentioned before that are approached us are fulfillment customers with like tens of thousands of shipments a day. I mean, that's different from the old style. I mean, you're taking stuff out of a box and putting it in a small box and labeling and sending it out. So if we get those, they'll be all over the country, California, New York, Dallas, ones in Iowa that we're talking about, a farm implement company. So it's kind of reflective of the way the industry's gone, where more and more customers want full service, one nose to punch if things go wrong. And we do good at that. We like to take control of everything, so we're the guys to come to if there's a problem. Otherwise, what you find is a lot of finger pointing. If you have different people in the mix, it's always the other guy's fault. And there's always partial truth to it. It's never always black and white. So I find it's a lot better for us and for the customer to say, okay, it's my neck you throttle if something goes wrong. We're better. That's our core skill. Manufacturers manufacture product, that's their core skill. And so the combination of the two, bringing a team of experts to you so you can focus on what you do best, let us make sure the product delivers on time, your inventory is right, your raw materials come in time for production, no stops. That's kind of what we do. That's our thing. So by combining, you get that expertise, and you also get more consistency. I mean, you think about it, if companies hire a traffic manager or customs leader, they can leave easily for the next highest bidder, So there's a lot of turnover. We bring a core expertise that'll stick around. And if someone here leaves, we have other people that easily fill in. And we don't have any people leaving. But it's a smart move on their part to partner with people that know this end of the business so they can focus on their end of the business.
You employ over 450 employees at over 50 locations in more than 20 countries worldwide. Did you have any idea Logistics Plus would ever become what it is today?
No, not even close. This year we hit $120 million in U.S. revenue, and we started with $120,000 21 years ago. So it's 1,000 times growth. And if we made it through the first year, I would have been surprised and happy. I use the old Buddhist saying that there's no plan because it's all planned. That's kind of our whole way here. Just come in every day and try to do a good job for the customer and ask them if they want fries with that. And a lot of times they say yes, so we get more to do.
You work locally with companies like GE and Hero BX and General Partitions, and you work nationally and regionally with companies like Amazon, WeWork, and Google. Can you talk a little about these relationships and how Logistics Plus values your client partners of all sizes?
I always say the people that know us best like us the most, which I always take as a badge of honor. The customers that we started with GE, for instance, for the first 3 years, all of our customer base was either their vendors or their customers or their employees who went somewhere else, not always in Erie, and took us with them because they knew what they had. They knew we would do the job for them. So for the first 5-6 years, really all of our customers could be traced back to GE people that knew us and trusted us. And we have very little turnover, and we still have original customers were GE and Lord, and we still have them 20 years later, which says a lot. So I'm a big relationship guy, and I know everyone judges things by the numbers. That's how you measure things. But I always say the reason Tom Brady, Joe Montana go in the 6th and 7th round of a draft, and Ryan Leaf is the first pick for everyone, is because there's things you can measure, there's things you can't measure. You can measure vertical, you can measure arm strength, but you can't measure reading the field, you can't measure heart and grit and guts, things like that. And that's why experts make mistakes. And so I think by knowing people, you get to know them better and you get to know what you got in that package. And we have very little turnover in our customer base because we become, friends is probably too strong a word, but they know us, we know them, we'll do anything we have to do to help them succeed. They sense that, they see that every day. I think it's way more important than people account for is get to know their business, get to know them as people, and let them know that whatever it takes, we're going to do. In this world, that's what you need because I always say in logistics, you're controlling things that are out of your control. And it's very easy to say, no, I can't do that. It's 5 o'clock. We go home. Or, no, the bridge is out. Or no, it's snowing. I think it was telling that when the city was shut down, we were working. Probably half the crew was in, and by Wednesday, everyone was in. Just because that's the nature of our business. You got to muscle through problems that arise out there. And so, we try to find a way to yes. Can't always do it, but 99% of the time you can. And that's the mentality we try to hire, and that's what I think the customers respect from us. They know that we'll do, if it can't be done, they'll know we tried everything. We just didn't go home at 5 o'clock and tell them, sorry, it's too late. It's worked well for 21 years. It's a little bit unorthodox because we don't really have reviews and measurements. It's more like you coming in, you're working hard. I tell people when you come here, it's like the old FedEx commercial from 20 years about the golden package. And the punchline was every package is the golden package. Your grandmother's waiting for her crock pot. It doesn't matter what you're shipping. And so when you have customers, it's either the product they need to make something or it's the product they've made and they're sending to a customer, and that matters the world to them. So whether you feel that in your bones or not, you got to come to work and act like you do that way because it matters to them, it's got to matter to you.
On your website, it says that Logistics Plus handles logistics from start until finish and everything in between. That's a lot more than a slogan to the employees of Logistics Plus, isn't it?
If you think about it, the way our world works, we're arranging shipments all over the world. And so you're arranging it with a truck driver or a ship or a plane. You don't know who's driving that truck. You have these networks of things you really are trying to control that you don't have that much control over. And so there's handoffs. And what I used to say, it's like if you're a 440 relay team, you don't run your 110 yards, give the baton away, and walk off. You watch the next guy. And the fourth guy's watching the other three. It's all connected till it's start to finish, till that baton crosses the line. Everyone's engaged, even if you're not running at the time. And that's the mentality to be successful in this industry, because you can't just say, well, I did my part of it. Because if I do my part and Scott doesn't do his, somewhere it drops off, it's my failure, So I got to make sure that the next guy does his job, he makes sure I do my job. And that's a little bit difficult to comprehend. I mean, some people don't come in expecting that. But that's what we teach that. You have to follow all the way through. Don't screw up on the details, because once you've got a plan in place, it's all details. And it's funny because I had people come to me saying, well, I just was one number off. I said, well, if I put my decimal point 1 point to the left on your paycheck, you're going to notice that. I could say it's just 1 decimal point over, not that big a deal. So pay attention.
Another specialty area we see in your marketing materials is project cargo logistics. What is that, and what does that entail?
Project cargo is a term that describes what doesn't fit in a box, so out of the box, I guess. Normal size pallets and most freight will fit in a 53-foot truck or a container, but there's some things that are bigger than that, and there's an expertise involved, and knowledge involved in moving that kind of freight that not everyone has. So it's a little bit more risky, and you can make a little bit more money on it, because you want a container from Shanghai to New York, 1,000 companies do that, and you're not going to make more than $50 on that container. But if you have to take a 200,000-pound engine from here to Iraq, not everyone can do that. So there's a knowledge to it, and you can make more at it, it's more profit margin. But if you screw up, you end up losing. So it's a little bit more risky, and it takes an expertise that not everybody has, and we've got that in spades. So we've grown that worldwide. In fact, it's funny because some of the big guys, we use our guys sometimes for their big projects. They don't tell their customer that. To the customer, it looks like they're doing it, but actually we're the ones doing the work.
You help companies repair weak links in their supply chains. This allows your customers to spend more time producing great products, doesn't it?
Well, I noticed early on, 20 years ago when we started at GE, that the carriers, the trucking companies, had terrific data. They had a better knowledge of what GE shipped than GE had. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because GE might use 20 different carriers and no way to track each one. But each carrier knew what they had precisely. They had billed for it. So when you're moving product and you're handling inventory and you're filling up warehouses, you get overall visibility to the data of your customer. And by using that, we got some smart guys now that look at that stuff and can see trends, can see min-max points. Hey, customer, you better order some more of these desks because you're going to run out based on your next 2 months' installs. So it gives you a view of things that they're not maybe looking at or too busy to look at sometimes. So it's a good perch from which to see like everything that goes on in a customer. What goes in, what goes out, how long things sit, how much they're used. And if you have these smart guys, they come up with some pretty cool dashboards to show the customer. It used to be if you delivered the freight on time in good shape at a fair price, you were golden. Now you have to do all that, plus you have to do some analysis and let them know what they don't know. That is going to be here to stay. So we've got a fledgling BI, business intelligence group of really smart young kids that look at this data and see things that I might not see. I can get the freight delivered, but I'm not an analyst. But they are, and they come up with perceptive insights that we pass on to the customers.
You also provide cutting-edge metrics to help your clients be more efficient. They can easily analyze trends and drill down into detailed data that make them better.
We've had some presentations we made where really the analytical side of it was just as important to the customer as the freight side. It's funny because I'm a freight guy, and freight's become seen as a commodity. Anybody can do it. That's not so true. I don't buy that. It's tougher than people think. But yet, if they think that, you got to deal with the perception. So the bells and whistles, so to speak, are becoming more and more important. And without those charts and graphs and metrics to show people, I think you're fighting uphill.
When you start a new year, do you have goals when it comes to the amount of growth or the kind of new business you would like to see? I
got a funny attitude about this, but my thing is just grow, period. if you set goals that people work their butts off and for reasons out of their control you don't reach, do you slap them for it? Or you set goals that got easily reached and they're lazy and pass them out of heroes? I mean, to me, you do the best you can, and what comes out of it comes out of it. Nobody can predict the future, so you just kind of keep doing a good job. And I always say the growth is our only strategy because it makes it easy for me, because then people that are tired of doing the same thing over and over get a chance to raise their hand and say, okay, I'll try that. And so it's a way to keep people fresh and challenged and interested, engaged. So I like growing. But we've had cases where departments did really well growing, but it was kind of easy for them. Like the economy might have boomed, and you don't control a lot of this stuff. So just to ride that, I'm a big hero because we grew. Well, nothing you really did. You got lazy, in fact. And then you've had cases where people worked their butts off, and for some reason, out of their control, we didn't grow. And I appreciate the effort. I always say, like, if you're a football player, if you're on my team, and you dive for a ball and can't hang on, I'll slap you on the butt, say, hey, good try. But if you lollygag it, like, man, you're sitting on the bench. So just give it your all, and what happens, happens. But I can see it the other way, too. I mean, we came out of an industry that was very structured and measured, and everything had a metric to it. I never liked it. I mean, I never liked the whole concept of it. I think you just give it your best, and then you try to motivate people to be even better than they thought they could be. And we had that this year. I mean, this year is, like, to me, the classic example of that working. So we grew 50%, which is crazy growth. And what I had to do to protect some of these new, the Googles and the WeWorks and the Amazons is I had to kind of strip some leadership from a lot of these very well-functioning departments. And that was kind of scary because they've been doing it for years, and maybe in some cases somewhat in a rut. It's like things are going well and keep our heads down, keep going. But people that kind of said, well, I'll try that. And we've had some incredible success for people that really, if you looked at their resumes, you never say this person is going to become a leader of a $30 million division of LP. Worked at McDonald's. Nothing to say that. But you find talent and you find desire and you find people who are willing to work hard and who care and got some latent smarts that they may not know they had because they've never been to college and been told they're smart. But you free that up, and it's incredible the results that we've seen. That's like probably the thing that charges me the most out of this whole thing is watching people come here who, were working at McDonald's and now are running big businesses. And it's cool to see that, it's some great stories to tell about some of these people. Because, single moms and people without much of a pedigree. It's like a walk-on, you come on and all of a sudden you're better than the guys that you drafted. Effort and being creative and working hard and figuring things out and being positive. I hate negative people. I mean, I hate, negativity. My thought for the day was positive anything is better than negative nothing. I learned in my last job, I was surrounded by people that were crying in the beer all day, and I just hated that.
Thanks for listening to Business Spotlight on Money Radio, WPSE. Business Spotlight is heard Fridays at noon. Join us next week as Roland Financial is in the Business Spotlight.